I
Hello,
like this.
hello.
Let's start.
Yeah, we should be live. It's not the three of us anymore.
Nice.
Okay, so hello guys. I see a few, lots of people joining already. Let's wait for a few more so that we don't start without them. Let's wait for a few more people. How's your week going,
Fine.
guys?
It's been a long one, and it's only Tuesday. So
Yeah.
It feels like it. It's like this morning. I was remembering as as a teenager going down the London Tube, and you would see all these ads, as you go down, saying like, "Oh, you're feeling tired? You should try this." I was like, "Why would I be feeling tired? I feel awesome. Like, who on earth buys this stuff?" And I'm like, "I need to go down the tube and write down the name of this amazing remedy."
Solutions for everything.
Solutions for everything, indeed.
There is problem for every solution, and there is solutions for every problem. So we should be in a good place.
I think it ties really
Okay.
well with the funnels used for native. You need to have a problem, and then you need to present a solution.
Yep.
nice, tying it back to the webinar. I like it.
Yeah. Shall we get it started, guys? Like I don't want our viewers to get bored or anything. We're already live, so it was a public conversation.
Cool. Let's go.
So thanks everyone for joining. We'll try to be on point with everything today. We don't want to go over boring stuff, and like I said in my mail, whoever got the invitation from my email, we don't want to do the sales pitch and everything. Like it's not what we like doing. We like to go hand in hand with most of our partners and grow together, which is the end goal for this webinar and the end goal for everyone. So today, like last time, we have our two dear friends, Andre and Mark from Taboola's team. Both of them have great experience with native ads. And please, guys, take your seat and then do a short intro for whoever hasn't attended any of your presentations before.
Absolutely. Mark, do you want to go first? Because last time we did it, you were the second. We need to do it fairly.
Sure, I don't mind. Cool. So yeah, hi everyone. I'm Mark. I'm the senior account manager for Central Eastern Europe at Taboola. I've been here for about 2 years, and primarily I work with sort of performance advertisers, whether that's small brands, affiliates, agencies, arbitragers, kind of anything really performance related.
And I'm Andre. Thanks, Mark. And I'm Andre. I'm a long-lasting friend of Mark and a colleague. We've been working together for 2 years, and I've been at Taboola for 4.5. And now my job is I'm leading business development for Eastern European markets and Israel. Good to be here.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for the introduction. So what we wanted to do today is something a bit different from the usual, as we have brainstormed initially with both Andre and Mark. So we want to keep this more as a conversation, as an open conversation, rather than a presentation that's going to bore everyone. Like I remember from the old days, whenever I used to go on these conferences and stuff that used to be done in person in 5-star hotels and everything like that. There used to be these presenters that were like blah, 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 like they were super slow in talking and everyone was sleeping or either playing with their phones. So feel free to spam us with questions in the comment section, either on YouTube or Facebook. And I might have started streaming on my LinkedIn profile as well, due to some LinkedIn technical issues with streaming it from the optimizer. And let's please try to keep this as dynamic as possible. We have worked on some different content this time. It's not going to be focused on search arbitrage, although I know many people would love to hear more about it, but there's still other stuff which is super hot to run and super feasible to be scaled. So let's get started with it and let's do it. So
shall we kick it off?
yeah, so we're gonna do with, shall we exploit it, or what do you want to do?
No, so essentially, so first of all, we wanted to no, I actually can share my screen. Amazing.
Yes,
I was
you
about
can.
to ask you. Hi, Yuri. So essentially, the plan is we wanted to do something a little bit different from the previous time, not just focusing on search, but focusing on other verticals. And the idea was to slowly move away from doing a full-on lecture, but rather do it as a proper webinar, a seminar. So we will be, answering questions. We're going through a couple of things. I feel like we shouldn't spoil all the fun because this will keep people engaged. We're going to do something different from the last time. We will do a very quick introduction right now to native and the verticals we primarily will be discussing, but then will be the interactive part. So Losit, will it be okay with you if I start sharing?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Cool. Okay. I'm sharing the screen. Can you see it?
Okay, there you go.
Yeah? Losit, Mark?
Yeah, we can see it.
All good.
Awesome. Okay, so as I promised, it's not going to be a long one. It's just a very quick introduction to native. So Taboola is the largest native ad platform, powers native ads across the open web. In super short, it's a traffic acquisition platform where the majority of the recommendations, which we refer to as Taboola feed, are located below the article on some of the largest websites in the world. So we do have direct integrations. We're below the article, and this is where your ads / our recommendations will be shown. As I promised, it's not going to be a full-on pitch. So just focusing on raw numbers, 500 million audience you can reach daily. We show quite a few monthly ad impressions, and we work with more than 9,000 publishers / websites exclusively. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. That's not what the webinar is for. So we want to talk about the verticals, and Losit here prepared a proper presentation because our presentation is more of on the lecture side of things. So just a very brief introduction in the verticals we're going to discuss. So e-commerce and content arbitrage. And then we will be taking questions and going through the interactive part. So regarding e-commerce, so sorry for saying extremely simplistic things, but in case the audience that is watching is just a beginner, as we said last time, someone who is not yet seasoned, affiliate marketing is a type of performance-based marketing in which a business rewards one or more affiliates for each visitor or consumer brought by the affiliate's own marketing efforts. Essentially, you take a product and you resell it on the other inventory. You go to a CPA network, or you have your own product and you resell it on Taboola. And usually, and again, we briefly touched on this, usually the way you're selling something on native is fundamentally different to the way you're selling this on Facebook or on Google search, for instance, because when you do search, people already know what they want. They want this monocular. They Google it, they go on Yahoo, and essentially they know what they want. This is the reason we're paying high. We're targeting the people who know what they want. Whilst, for instance, on social media, people don't yet know what they want, but Facebook, for instance, knows what people want because it has so much data on these people. So with very high precision rate, they can recommend something what people will most likely buy or engage with. Native is, again, a little bit different. Native is supposed to keep the audience engaged in a different way because it doesn't have the precise targeting options like the walled gardens have, or closed ecosystems where you need to register. Now, on native, the intent is a little bit different. The way to describe it would be is to, when someone's reading an article and they're scrolling down and they see some recommendations, this is the mode which we refer to as the moment of next. Essentially, when someone finishes reading and they think, what shall we do next? What should we read? We want to read more. And this is where the native recommendations come in, which come in the form of ads presenting a problem. Like, why is this monocular better than a proper telescope? It's a problem, right? Someone wants to know, why is it better? And I don't know why, so I'm clicking on it. It's clickable. It's not clickbaity, it's clickable because you're promising something and you're delivering it in the form of informed pre-lending, which warms up the audience and says, guys, there was a problem, but here is a solution. And this solution comes in the form of this amazing monocular, and you can buy it right here. Call to action. And this leads you to stage 3, which would be a discounted solution. Only today and only for you, if you buy a bundle, you save X%. So that's how you sell e-commerce on native. Now, this is rather simplistic, but if you'd like to explore something else, and last time we spoke about search arbitrage, which is a very hot topic. We're talking about e-commerce, and we also would like to talk about content arbitrage, which is a long-lasting vertical which can pretty much be used on multiple traffic sources, but so it happens it's particularly hot on native. For instance, let us know in the chat if you've ever scrolled through social media or through news outlets, and you saw this recommendation saying like top 10 celebrities or top 10 something you've never heard about. So it's actually a big business. So all these websites, they're really similar, and these are heavily monetized websites using multiple different tactics in order to keep the audience engaged and keep the audience stay on the website. And there are multiple tactics to do this. You can employ long-range articles. You can have short carousel-like articles where you need to click on the next page to see the continuation of the story. But usually the layout is pretty straightforward. It's AdSense heavy or AdX heavy, depending on how you monetize it. Sometimes there is native involved below the article, because native is not just a monetization technology, it's also a engagement technology that increases the depth of a session. You may have video, you may have search links, but this is like a whole different level. You may have push, and you may have affiliate products. And in case you don't know what some of these mean, I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but feel free to refer to these explanations. And again, Lawsit, myself, and Mark will be happy to take this offline and discuss it with you. But just a bit of information which I prepared. So content arbitrage is an extremely interesting business. It's not necessarily the easiest one to start with, but there are multiple reasons you can do it, and there are multiple reasons people are buying, for instance, native traffic for content arbitrage. Because I'm sure the watchers of this webinar or future YouTube video can argue and say, well, you can buy super cheap clicks on Facebook, or there are ways to buy them cheaper on Google. But if you look at the average number, the average search CPC is very expensive, and even GDN is relatively expensive. And Facebook, unless you are you really found the sweet spot, you are paying relatively high CPCs. Whilst I won't be sharing an average Taboola CTR or Taboola CPC, for instance, but I can say that Taboola CPC, it tends to range much lower than the much lower, like maybe 2, 3, sometimes 4 times, depending on the geo, lower than the numbers presented here. And feel free to do your own research and check this online. It's publicly available information about like the average CPCs and CTRs on Google. And just to conclude, and say that it's not necessarily the affordability that is so appealing, which it is in essence. It's also the intent, something that I already touched on before, because the moment of next is the right fit for news websites exchanging traffic, because you're in this reading mode. You're reading news and you would like to continue reading news. And if there's a relevant recommendation which is tailored specifically to your interests, because you would employ behavior targeting, this is what keeps the audience so interested in like the further investigation of this article, and they can stay on this website, and the session length will be much, much deeper, 20 or 30 pages per session. That would be it, Lawsit, I suppose. Did I manage to keep this under 10 minutes as promised?
Even like for as long as we're able to share the content. So I'll start sharing a few examples now from Content Arb and like a few of the basics. I'll try to be super quick on that part. Just don't want to touch the boring part. I'll just touch some of the technicalities and then the things that we need to work with. So practically here in my screen, you may see a few odd examples from Content Arb. They are nothing like the click-through rates that we're seeing on anything like lead generation on e-commerce and stuff like that. So for this kind of ads, we're looking at super high CTRs, like 5% or more sometimes. And also they are more open to the compliance with with any ad network that we're working with. So in this page, I've included some examples, and I've tried to get some of the most aggressive ones from Taboola's network from over this past year. If you log into any spy tool, you'd be able to see this kind of ads. Just make sure that when you go on spy tools and when you go and say, hey, but this ad hasn't been running for quite a while, don't be deceived by the numbers that you see there, because they're generally reporting whatever they have captured in their technology, or whatever they have captured, and rather not the actual numbers that are behind the actual volumes of these ads. My recommendation would be to go native spy tools or whatever you're using, and then combine it with SimilarWeb to kind of see, okay, what's the average volumes that you're getting for these ads and stuff. And besides the ads that we have from Taboola, which you can see even the second one with the double figure is quite attractive for the click stuff. We also have ads from other ad networks, and they are not necessarily on tier one networks like Taboola. They are even from some other networks, especially the last ones in the bottom right side of your screen. So anything that is clickable counts there. So the optimization is super heavy on the click-through rate. So everything that is being done is shooting for a low CPC and maximizing the page view per session on the content arb. It is not as easy, as a matter of fact, as it would be from the perspective of an affiliate, where you just grab a landing page, build, copy it, and clean it out, and just upload it somewhere, and boom, you have another product, a product to promote. It requires a bit more work, so it's a bit more challenging, but in the end is way more stable than running affiliate offers in general. The reason we're bringing Content Arb at this time of the year is because this is also the best time of the year to run Content Arb, or to get started with it. So with that in mind, I just want to bring a few layouts that are the most used ones. So as you might have seen from your browsing experience, jumping to from websites and other stuff in the net, you have seen lots of cases. You have seen gallery sites where you just have a picture, a short description, and you have to go from by clicking on the next button or previous button to jump around from one page to another, which are part of the same article. The goal of these pages is to maximize the page view per session, and generally there we're shooting for a high page view per session versus a single page view per session, and the bounce rate, which are generally the main metrics to look at. Also, we have the load more page, where practically, in order to kind of go and keep the visitor engaged, you just end the article with a load more call to action button, and every time that there is a load more, you can fire a conversion or an event to track the depth of how deep the visitor went to the article. We have the infinite scroll, where there is no need for interaction, but rather it's an infinite scroll, and you can have these infinite articles super heavy in terms of content. Like you can have 50, 60, 40 pieces of or sections of content in one page, and the longer the visitor stays on the page and scrolls, the more ads they are being shown to, and the more revenue is being generated. So overall, we're talking about a high user engagement as a primary goal, versus clicking on the button like you would be on a landing page for e-com or lead generation offers and other affiliate type of offers. The last one, I've called it a jump page. I came across it today when I was doing some of the last spying and verification of everything. And practically, what this model is practically you have a landing page on a different domain, where you're showing some second tier, third tier native ad network ads on a tabular on a box view, like you see in the presentation here. And on the top, you have the main article for which you attracted a visitor for. So in that situation, that might not be the best compliant ad, or might not be the easiest to get through. But for as long as you can monetize it or you can get it through, I would highly recommend to test it out versus going through a content article. And the cool thing about this, like when working with content articles, is that you're left with a property. Like as opposed to search art that many of you guys, from what I saw from the list, many of you guys are already doing. Uh, the difference between the two is that with search art, you're buying clicks, you're selling clicks, you're left with nothing, only the revenue that you're generating. But with the content side, you're left with a content site that you can later on sell it to another company if you grow enough traffic and you have an interesting enough organic reach with the website, which adds value to the domain and to the website as a whole. And plus, it adds extra monetization from organic traffic, which is free monetization without paying a single click. So in that direction, I would start working, even for the guys who are highly invested in the search art game. I would start working on a content website, because uh, sooner or later, and most of you, I guess, already know that there are some situations with some other networks where you want to pass through a content site, and there you kind of make an investment and shoot for a longer term project that might pay out better. And to summarize the content art space, practically you have a few challenges, which are the content generation, which needs to be original and unique. Otherwise, the monetization platforms won't necessarily be or won't like the won't want to push in terms of monetizing the kind of content. There is ongoing website maintenance. I myself have tried to go through the simple static HTML website and build it up, but it's a nightmare. It's super heavy, labor heavy to be maintained, and you need to go through a CMS definitely. You will need to find the right monetization partners, and there are companies who are offering monetization solutions for content websites. There is Google with AdSense, where once you get approved, you can just start with it. And there are guys who are already making AdSense monetization only with content websites. And also there is room for optimization even on the ad placements on your website. Other than that, the optimization is fairly straightforward and fairly aggressive, as opposed to other campaigns. Like the ad spend doesn't need to go to humongous amounts in order to understand if the campaign is going to work or not. It's going to be super simple. Like right in the first $10 of ad spend, you'll be able to tell if the campaign has potential to be profitable or not. There is an aggressive need for there is a need for an aggressive creative testing, and also there is a need for an aggressive campaign testing. Like for the native side of thing, I guess even Andrew and Mark can confirm it. Like there is that part of the optimization where people take advantage of the discovery or expedition mode of the campaign in its first 24 to 36 hours to get the best click-through rate and the best clicks out of the network's inventory. So this is it for the content arb. I won't get into the deep details. Obviously, as you know, we have the tech and integrations to help you automate the monetization of content websites, and together with Taboola with the quality traffic and the right account managers, which I can't stress enough to be sometimes a deal breaker. So invest some time into building relationships with your account managers for anything, and take it from there and make some stuff work.
Yeah,
Shall
even take
we?
them out for a beer if you're
Yeah,
feeling like it.
I would say better for a dinner or a lunch, because it's on an empty stomach, people find it hard to speak freely or
So
to
optimize.
be. It's a more optimized environment where the stomach is not empty, and you're in front of a glass of wine or beer and some good food. So, shall we move to some of the examples of
Yes.
e-commerce?
That'd be interesting
Absolutely.
to run a correlation test for the countries with the most arbitrages and affiliates in them versus the cuisine of the country. let's say, the country where the cuisine is like not necessarily as popular in like France or Italy, like let's say like UK, like the cuisine may not necessarily be as fancy, at least traditionally. It'd be
There's
interesting
always
to have
good
a
places to
correlation.
eat.
Oh yeah, no, no places. Yes, we're talking about traditional cuisine.
So I've started sharing the screen, I guess, yeah, for the next slides. I'll keep it super quick. It's just this slide with the examples. I guess most of you guys know what we're talking about in terms of creatives. So we're always trying to be aggressive enough, but not that aggressive, especially with the claims for when it comes to pass through the main websites and according to the market. And I've tried to go a bit deeper myself out of my curiosity and to try to understand what the real deal is with all those compliance nightmares, like this is not compliant, that is not compliant, and blah, blah, blah. Like, bottom line is, for whenever there is a compliance issue, it's the publishers who don't like it and not the traffic source.
Yeah.
So anyone who's trying to get an MSN can be a pain in the butt for when it comes to approving or letting any aggressive piece of content like this guy here that's putting something in his mouth might be considered aggressive for MSN, but not the watch or not the keys or not the pain relief product or this futuristic look like gadget that is on the bottom right corner. So shall we move to some of the landing page examples that we've prepared
Please.
for today, and we can take it from there. So as announced, we have a list of landing pages, and let me check if I have the right screen. You know what? I'm going to stop sharing for now and reshare it again, so I don't make a mess with the screens. All right, there we go. So we're talking about Q4, and everyone who's been long enough in the industry, they know that it's listicle season. So 10, 15, whatever number of products that you have in mind, you put them on a single landing page. You create an interesting enough headline where you lure where you attract the visitor to get on your landing page, and then you sell a product one by one here by putting an aggressive enough headline. Like you can even make some slightly bold claims here for what it matters and take it from there. And then
Yeah,
the
the most
visitor,
important. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, sure. Go ahead.
No, just with these listicles, the most important thing, because this is the first one we've opened, is to make sure that the offers that you're running are pretty similar payouts that they have, because the Taboola sort of smart bid algo optimizes towards conversion rate. So it will give you, especially with enough data and enough time, it will give you a very consistent CVR, which means a fairly consistent CPA, but it won't be able to optimize towards, say, like if you have an offer that has a very easy conversion, so it's going to give you a really high CVR, and one that's going to be very difficult and going to give you the right payout. So as close as possible, you should get them to be in the sort of same band, ideally within like a 20% range, so that these fluctuations that happen occasionally don't hit you too hard. When say like a lower payout offer is the one that's mostly being optimized towards. So that's a really important part with listicles, and I often see people do things that sell for $150 and then a lead gen offer that where the payout is like $6. So make sure you don't do that.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like even mixing it up with some lead gen offers. Like sometimes they are not so hot for Q4, but there are still some lead gen offers that might be related, let's say for seniors or stuff like that, and we can kind of mix it up together in a single landing page, even though it's heavily focused on products, and take it from there. Like
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it should be also quite relevant to each other. That's a really good point. You want to make the listicles not everything I've seen on GiddyUp or everything I've seen on DFO. You want it to be like, what is happening now? There's a cost of living crisis, or it's Christmas, or it's Black Friday. So basically amend your listicles or make the listicles to be as applicable to that. I know that the big sort of CPA networks make their own listicles, which can be useful because they will often have the information on conversion rates. But I would say the most successful affiliates are ones who actually test and find out what stuff converts at, and then from there they actually shift the offers around. So that's not a problem from a compliance side with us. Even if you shift like number 1 to number 3 and number 3 to number 1, that's not a problem as long as the offers are the same. But you obviously want to put the top converting sort of highest ROI offer at the very top.
Yeah, like even there was a good detail that you mentioned. Like networks tend to make their own listicles or their own pre-lenders and stuff like that. I haven't been a big fan of the network listicles or pre-lenders because there is not much data that you can gather from that. Like it's hard to be tracked. Like I would, at the maximum, at wherever possible, either rip the network's landing page. Most likely, they would offer it without having to go through ripping and or even host it for you if you're doing enough good numbers. But the benefit of managing the page for yourself is you can have the possibility to host it on a more performant website, and when the hosting is more performing and the page doesn't take forever to load, which generally happens with some networks, it would be much better for the user experience when it browses the page. Also, you can easily update the language on the page, or even swap the order of the products, but for yourself, like instead of having to go like, hey, Mark or Andre, can you please rotate these offers, put this first, put this second, then you see another spike in the results, and you say, oh wait, but we need to swap this. Like nobody has time to do that for you, and you're going to be feeling like you're stuck with a collaboration that isn't that responsive. That's not the case. So in this situations, I would generally go with your pre-lender. It's not super hard. Like you can find this on Lender Lab. Like not didn't have an intention to sell it, but it's like on Lender Lab you can find these examples fairly easily. They are ready to go, super optimized on the code side, and just put your links and you're good to go. Then what else? Like there is also the capability to like you would want to put these landing pages on a pre-lender and lender sequence. Like sometimes it might not work really well from the listicle directly to the product. Maybe you will need to kind of stress out the benefits of the product and what problems the product solves on a lender before the offer, and then take it from there. Like all this data that you're gathering, you can use that to optimize your campaigns and say, hey, I'm buying traffic from Taboola, and generally from Taboola, although there is a feature that kind of limits you to, and you have to do it by request to your account manager, that limits you to a list of top performing publishers when you start in a campaign. On Taboola, you will get roughly 1,500 to 3,000 publishers on average per campaign. Can you guys please confirm what the average number of publishers per campaign is?
I mean, it sounds right. I think it depends on a lot of factors like geo, vertical, whatever. But
Yeah,
I mean, you'll get a lot essentially.
yeah, generally it's in the 1,500 range. So practically by utilizing the data that you see on the engagement of the landing page, you can optimize towards those data first, because you're not going to expect anyone to convert unless they click on the landing page or unless they click on the pre-lender or whatever.
Something to add is, again, Mark touched upon this. So depending on the size of the geo, in some geos we have global partners and we have local partners, and in some geos which are, I would refer to as emerging, we do tend to rely more on global partners, meaning that you would likely have less publishers to optimize, which can be a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. Because if it works, it works. You don't need to test like dozens or hundreds of publishers to find the sweet spot. Whilst on the other hand, sometimes the lack of diversification, can be felt, but it doesn't necessarily, again, can be a bad thing.
Yeah, but it generally like it's on the 2,000 publishers range. You would easily see a Taboola campaign go like
Oh yeah.
maybe some smaller geos, but between like let's say for as a matter of fact, this season is pretty competitive. Like Q4 is pretty competitive. We have bigger brands that are jumping in and with hefty budgets. Like it's pretty hard to compete with them, especially when we're testing a campaign on $100 daily budget or even $500 daily budget. Because think of it, like we have uh, 15 products on a listicle. Average selling price is $50. What's the math after that? Like 10 times the offer payout, and you
Yeah.
have like it needs to make sense. So in that direction, optimizing towards the previous step, like pre-conversion step, which is the click on the landing page or the pre-lander, would be a good idea because you save money on that.
Yeah, it really depends, I would say, on the payout offer and the offer and the TCPA. I would say it's also based on your risk appetite. Like essentially, the more hard conversion you optimize towards, obviously the better your results longer term. But you have to balance that against a sort of algo needs data thought. So the more data the algo has, the better it will perform. So you need to balance those two thoughts. Obviously, if you can start a campaign with $1,500 a day with sort of aiming for 20, 30, 40 conversions a day, then that's very good. If your is $100 and you can only do $150 a day, you should probably look to run a more soft conversion as your optimization event, or at least change your funnel in some way, because off $100, if you get a conversion a day, your learning periods are going to take too long, and honestly, I'm not sure that it's ever going to like get you the performance you really
Yeah,
need.
what's the click count like that the algorithm needs to kick in, like, or conversion count? Is there a number there, Mr. Buddha?
There isn't an exact number that we can kind of share with 100%. I think
I mean, like
ideally,
something close.
yeah, ideally you want 10 conversion events per day. I have seen, and I'm sure Andre has seen, and
Mhm.
every affiliate has seen, less do well, but more is usually better. Like if search is so easy kind of to optimize quickly because you are getting such huge numbers of
A
conversions.
lot of soft
Um,
conversions.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like it's definitely the way to go. Like what we had, what we've brainstormed quite often with our partners that are using the optimizer to automate their campaign optimization process is something like optimize towards the landing page click-through rate. Like whenever you kind of go through the numbers, you want to have like a decent conversion rate from the landing page clicks. Like you cannot say, hey, I have a 20% landing page click-through rate, but no conversions, and like it's not working for me. Like if you have 20% conversion rate in general, like most publishers, and it's not converting, maybe it's the offer, or maybe like you have a low conversion rate, a lower click-through rate on the lander, and a higher conversion rate from the lander to click to the offer. That tells you that you have a good offer. Like with e-commerce, we're generally talking about 1%, 3% conversion rate, but still the price that we're talking about, or the price that we're taking into consideration, is much higher than as opposed to the average lead generation offer, and is gonna back out. So I have this lander, and the way the only the thing that I like about it, and then we can move to the question session in a few minutes. So the thing I like about this lander is that it has videos. Like one of the good engaging elements of a landing page would be having a video or a GIF image, so that you can kind of sell the product better, and you kind of avoid sending the visitor to another lander.
Mhm.
And yeah, like this is pretty cool stuff. Like I've seen this kind of landing pages work really great. Obviously, these are generalized pages. They are being served from my local storage. It's not live pages, so we would avoid any weird conflict with anyone who's running something similar we found everything on Spy Tools. I went on Spy Tools and went over everything. Like this is seasonal, and there is this other single product landing page, which I will share after the webinar on a follow-up email. And also there is this energy saving, which I like. What I like about it is that it is like at the right moment, because there is this energy crisis all over the world, and
Hmm.
we can take advantage of it. Like maybe it needs to be reviewed a little bit on the aggressiveness and um, the language that is being used on the lender, but once we're good with it, we can take it from there and take the best out of it.
I
Yeah,
really like the
absolutely.
ones. I really like the ones that you found. So I think they all correlate really well with what we discussed about the problem solution with a discount. I mean, the funnel is a little bit different. Sometimes you need to go through jumps and hooks to find the right solution, but it keeps the audience engaged, especially if you're focusing on lead generation or e-commerce. There always needs to be an explanation text, and we're happy to take this offline and again discuss about the best structures of the landing pages. But usually, again, aim for short but very concise text that explains the problem but presents an immediate solution, and only then goes deeper in this solution, like breaking it down and offering CTAs where you could acquire this solution instantly.
Yeah, like it needs its own master to be crafted. Like it needs to be crafted
For
well.
sure.
Like
I think it also shows that like we have had so many opinions that are different on the pages. It's like the most important thing is to test and look at the data and make decisions based off of the data. Don't just read a blog post and trust it 100%. And if it doesn't go, just pause everything and say this doesn't work. It's all about testing. It's all about trying to find the winning sort of LPs and creatives and whatever.
yeah, better stay away from gurus and whatever they're preaching. It's not gonna back out in the long run. Let's see if we have some questions here. While we wait for some questions to go in, I wanted to uh, go pretty quick on a few changes that we have introduced on the optimizer. I won't take much time for it, but I think it's fairly um, short and concentrated stuff. So pretty quick for anyone who hasn't been using the optimizer for a while, or anyone who's running with Facebook, TikTok, or even Google Ads. We have a direct integration with them as well. Nothing against Taboola. I love it. That's my preferred native ad network. And by the way, there is a great potential, especially with working with Taboola and Facebook. If you use a tracker, which is called Clicklflare, you can visit it at clickflare.io. It's our tracking platform. It's still to be launched for internal reasons. We haven't been able to launch the product yet, but on a public beta, but it has been on a closed beta. It has shown super bold resistance, and for what I can tell, it's a tracker that never breaks unless half of the internet is down. So using the tracker by buying traffic on Taboola, you can feed and warm up your pixels on Facebook or TikTok or Google Ads to create audiences, because there is a solid conversion API model there that is feeding data. Even if you're not buying traffic from these networks, it's feeding data back to Facebook, Google, and TikTok. So practically, you can say, okay, I have an e-commerce campaign, or I have a lead generation campaign, or whatever campaign that you're running on Taboola, and you want to build an audience to Facebook or TikTok or even Google Ads for retargeting purposes. You can beat the hell out of it, because it's going to be as easy as just selecting, okay, what pixel do you want on the campaign settings? You say, I want this pixel to get back any conversion data that I'm sending back to Taboola. It's going to get the data, and then you're working parallel, and you can do discovery campaigns, like cold campaigns with Taboola, with super competitive CPCs that you're getting, as opposed to search or search campaigns, or even social traffic campaigns. Then you can retarget them, and you can retarget them on Taboola, and you can retarget them even outside Taboola on ad networks, and not longer than today, I was discussing, like it was casual, but there was a case where someone has been trying this out, and the results were surprisingly amazing. So I would strongly recommend to test it out. We have also automatic rules to deal with target CPA. So any campaigns that you run with target CPA on native app networks like Taboola or even Outbreak, you can do target CPA rules and manage target CPA automatically. There is global rules that you create them on the account level. So whatever campaign you launch on Taboola, let's say Listicle or Taboola lead generation account, sub account, any rule that you have assigned to that sub account, any campaign that you launch on that sub account will undergo this with those rules, and you'll be able to have the campaigns protected automatically there. And for anyone who's invested into social traffic, we have automatic rules to automatically clone ad groups or ad sets. But my recommendation would be to kind of explore the native side a little bit more, even for those who aren't that experienced with it. Just take the right approach with it and make sure that you're playing with it, because there's lots of potentials, and you can, if you combine all together, you can do some real damage. Like that's guaranteed, and I've seen that in a few actual cases.
Call it
I'm
damage,
not allowed to share. I'm not allowed to share deals, but that's a case.
Cool. Awesome.
Amazing.
Does this wrap it up?
Yep. Let's see. Okay,
Yes,
we
we
have a
have
question.
questions. Love it.
Is it possible with automated rules, you no longer need to look at the boot account and the campaigns are also scaled automatically, so I only need to add refresh ads and optimize the advertorials? The short answer is yes. The long answer is yes, but. And the long answer is yes, but for a simple reason that you have to go through the data, see the data, read it, and build the optimization strategy based off the data. And whenever you make any changes on the advertorial or landing page, whatever you want to call it, and on the creatives, there's going to be a change in the performance of the campaign that most likely you will need to tweak something in the rules. So you'll have to keep that present, because I've had cases, maybe I've mentioned this before, but I've had cases where when introducing some changes on the landing page, I was able to get like 5% more, or like from 10 to 12 or 15% conversion rate differences. Like it was like from 9% or 8% conversion rate initially, made the changes, the conversion rate bumped. Like it went to 15 or 12%. Like it was like 30% improvement on the conversion rate. So these are all details, even when working on the offers. Like when you change the offer, and maybe you're working with a network that has like, I don't know, X% conversion rate, it's paying out better, but you switch to another one that pays you out less, but it has a better conversion rate. That might be the case that you want to switch to the lower payout because it's backing out better in the long run.
Hopefully this answers. Guys, do you have more questions? You're welcome, Nassim and Losset, as always, being very comprehensive and eloquent.
Thanks. Like I would like to see some more questions regarding some of the stuff. We're still on the okay. So in terms of rules, like for Taboola specifically, but not limited to, I would strongly recommend to understand how the algorithm works, how the platform delivers, then build up rules. Like you will see, you will hear all kinds of different feedbacks from communities or groups of people, but whoever has made it work has understood well how the platform works, how everything works, and based off that, they have built up the optimization strategy. So don't be super strict with the rules. Let the algorithm speak and go along with it. Like, can you guys please add some details about the algorithm? Because it's sometimes the deal breaker when people build up rules, and it's
I think I'll start with a very general explanation, and Mark would be able to top it up with some specifics if he feels like it. But I would say, like, the algorithm, treat it as an investment. Like, the more you invest in it, the better. Like, you need to feed the algorithm data. So specifically, when you're running campaigns in large gears, if you're running large gears in them, you're dealing with a lot of publishers. And most importantly, and we keep repeating this, most importantly is to keep in mind that native is not Facebook, for instance, or other social platforms where you're comparing, one day with the other, and the span is relatively short. You're comparing Mondays with Mondays, and Tuesdays with Tuesdays. So when you're looking at this data, you need to compare a much longer span to see how the audience behaves, one day versus the other when the conditions are identical. Oh, that's cool. Now we have like questions
yeah.
appearing in the middle of the screen. Love it.
I forgot
So,
about it.
so did I. But I would say, feed the algorithm with as much data as possible, because without it, you wouldn't be able to do the manual optimizations properly, and secondly, the algorithm which aggregates the data, namely clicks and conversions, is ultimately becoming smarter and smarter once being fed, and it starts playing. It starts supporting your campaigns. Have this make sense?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna, because Andrei laid out such a beautiful explanation of the algo, I'm gonna jump into the next question because it essentially touches on the algo and is a really good sort of setup for that. So what is the best campaign setup? I'm actually going to start from the end of the question in terms of, in the US, there's a lot of publishers. So how do you optimize quickly? Internally, we have a lot of tools that are used like within the algo to make sure that the optimization, it happens in a smooth manner. So you're not exposed equally to, we have, I believe, 10,000 or so publishers in the US, although don't quote me on that. And it doesn't work in the way that you're exposed, like your $100 are spread evenly between all those publishers. We have internal products which basically estimate where, based on the type of the ad. So for you, it would be search campaigns. Those types of campaigns do best. And so the first exposure always happens on those sources. Now, with that, it's not obviously sort of the best system. So it doesn't mean that within 2-3 days, because you've been exposed to this first cohort of publishers, you don't see performance, you should pause it completely. Like Andrei said, it's a sort of nurturing process. With search, it's a lot faster and a lot easier because you're giving the algo so much data. But there is, I think, a bit of an irrational fear in the arbitrage community that you're just going to be shown to thousands of publishers. You're not going to have any actionable data, and you won't know what to do because every publisher will have one click. That is not what happens within our system. There will always be leading publishers, and you can make decisions based off of them. And if you're seeing that, your number 1, 2, 3 are all not doing very well, but there is a 4, 5, 6 that is looking a little bit better, just turn them off or reduce the bids. It is unfortunately impossible in native, as opposed to, say, search and social, to get results very quickly. It's just something that our systems, web competitors, are not quite ready to do. It does take time, it does take conversions, it does take clicks. So just give it a bit of time, set the testing budget that you want, and then it will find you sort of the right results. In terms of other setups, I mean, tracking is super important, but I think that's quite obvious. You want to ideally split the platforms, so mobile, desktop, tablet. Always run on smart bid campaigns, never run on fixed bid. I think that's like some legacy sort of advice that has been flying around, I know. So always use smart bid. And the last one is, if you are using the optimizer and you're using automatic rules, make sure that your ad delivery is set to A/B testing at the beginning, because we don't want our two systems to clash. When it's on optimized, they might clash. Essentially, it doesn't make like a huge difference for you. It just means that you need to keep an eye on the performance. And I mean, generally, I would say A/B testing is a better approach for ad delivery, especially if you want to see how the different ads perform. But hopefully that answers your question.
I have one question actually regarding the A/B
Hmm.
testing.
Yes.
We haven't been able to to get on calls recently, but regarding A/B testing, like what would be the time frame that you would recommend to go? Like there is the default one, but sometimes it's not enough, and I feel like sometimes due to the VCTR difference, some ads are being discontinued sort of if it's too long, if the A/B testing is too long. Like what would be the sweet
Hmm.
spot for A/B testing?
So they never get discontinued. Basically, the A/B testing product is not an equal chance of winning the auction, which I think a lot of people do think. It's sort of like your traffic is distributed evenly. So every ad spends $10. That's not actually how it works. It's every ad has an equal chance of winning an auction. So because certain ads will have a lower VCTR, they will not win the auction quite as much. So you will still have winners climbing to the top. In terms of timings, it's really dependent on the spend and the number of clicks that you're getting. I would say that you don't want to like essentially beat a dead horse. Like if you've got an ad that has a good result but like a terrible VCTR, so let's say an ad that is extremely specific, like exactly what the person wants, but nobody's clicking on it because nobody yet knows that they want it. Um, you don't really want to run a campaign that way on native because then that means your CPCs will be astronomical. So timing, yeah, I would say stick to like within a couple of weeks and just turn off ads proactively during that time. So if ads are, we actually have like a semi-new feature. I think it's been a few months, which is essentially a recommendation center. So you'll get a little lightning bolt by your campaign, and if our system thinks that the ad is ready to be turned off, then you can turn it off.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I think we are in 1 hour 3 minutes streaming. Like it's beyond beyond
Perfect.
the planned schedule.
I think
Shall
we
we wrap
managed.
it up? Like, what do you
Yeah,
guys
I think
think?
we
Do we
can.
have any other questions? Or
I really like the format actually. Just a bit of theory, and then we dive deep into like an interactive discussion.
yeah, like
Yeah, definitely.
maybe next time we should do it like maybe on a Zoom call,
Good do.
Yeah,
closed Zoom call with people speaking directly. Like, why
I would
not?
love
Like
that.
even
I think we
yeah,
should do
like
it.
a
that'd be
big
fun.
open conversation.
Okay, we have
Absolutely.
one more question.
We have one more question.
So add essentially our auction, which I assume is what you mean, in terms of getting more impressions is, yeah, it's VCPM, which is a product of VCTR and CPC. So the higher VCPM, the more auctions you'll win. So you'll get more viewable impressions, well, more impressions, not just viewable.
Awesome. All right,
Great.
guys. Thanks a lot
Thanks, everyone.
for attending today. I'll follow up with an email with a copy of the landing pages and also the presentation slides and a few other stuff. It's not going to be a boring one. I guarantee you. Like I don't want to spam you or take space up to your mailbox. And if anything, please reach out either to me for the optimizer and Clicklare or LenderDub, or to Andre and Mark for Taboola, or if for both Taboola and the optimizer stuff, like we can get organized even like the three of us, the four of us, if you want to, and make sure that your guys are on the smoothest path possible, and we make what needs to be done to get successful.
Yeah, awesome.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thanks for having us, Losit,
Yes,
and thanks
thanks
for
for
Thank
having
you,
listening.
us,
guys.
Lotte.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.